The expanded university, imaginative and boundless. Howdy, Yoda is in the news right now, and I hold in my hand Star Wars Galaxy Magazine number 9. It may hold the key to learning who Yoda's master was. Now, we know that for decades, Lucasfilm and George Lucas himself kept specifics about Yoda's species a secret. There are examples, as you can see on the screen here, of other members of the species. Master Vandar from Knights of the Old Republic, Yaddle, of course, a few others. And then you have this art here that was rejected by Lucasfilm in 1994 for Series 2 of the Star Wars Galaxy card series. It was later released well after the prequels came out, but at the time they didn't want any kind of speculation or any kind of art out there that would indicate that there are a lot more members of Yoda's species. What does Star Wars Galaxy Magazine have to do with this? Well, right here in issue number 9, they reveal an alien designed by a fan named Chuck Hamilton. This contest, Design an Alien Contest, was kicked off in 1995, like in issue number 3. So they revealed this alien right here on the screen, Nakata Del Gormo. And he has this little lore blurb with it. Some of the entrants really didn't put much into it, maybe a couple of sentences, but Chuck went all the way. Let's read this right here. A really long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, two young comrades, a human and his small alien friend named Yoda, left their remote planet in an old, barely space-worthy starship on a journey to the core system seeking employment. But long before they reached their destination, the ship was struck by an asteroid and was severely disabled. After several days adrift, their life support and rations were nearly exhausted. There was no response to their distress signal. Their fate seemed very grim. Then their sensors picked up a system not far away. Having just enough power to make it, they were forced to crash land on a swampy planet covered with dense fog, Dagobah. A couple days later, they were discovered by a strange-looking creature known as a Hysaurian, native to the planet. His name was Nakata Del Gormo, and he was a Jedi Master. He took them to his home and eventually taught them the ways of the Force. Not longer after their training was complete, an Old Republic government ship was passing by the planet. It picked up their ship's distress beacon, and the two companions were rescued. Many years later, when the Old Republic fell to Palpatine's evil New Order, the few surviving Jedi Knights disbanded and went into hiding. Master Yoda returned to Dagobah to retire in seclusion, until a young man named Luke Skywalker came along. The rest, as you well know, is history. Now, some of that is not going to be compatible with what we know about Yoda's history and the rest of the saga after the prequels came out, about how Jedi Knights are trained and recruited. So Leland Chee, the keeper of the Holocron, had this to say way back in 2006 on a forum post on StarWars.com. Responding to the question, does it follow that Nakata Del Gormo is actually canon, since it's not directly overruled by another source? He says the existence of such character is part of continuity, but his appearance on Dagobah would not be, since the time of Episode 3 is the first time that Yoda ever sets foot on Dagobah, as noted in the Revenge of the Sith novelization. So we know the Revenge of the Sith novelization is G-canon, thus overriding any other level of continuity. I myself find it strange that they took a fan contest entry and they're trying to say that it's either secondary canon or C-canon just because it was published in Star Wars Galaxy Magazine. In my opinion, it is Apocrypha. It's just a contest entry. A lot of what Chuck put into his character blurb doesn't really make a lot of sense, because where was Nakata Del Gormo whenever Luke went to Dagobah? Where was the rest of his species? Because it says native to the planet in the blurb. So a lot of that would render the entry just as N-canon as non-canon. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But then later on, in 2013, 7 years later, this is what Leland Chee had to say about Nakata del Gormo. Galaxy Magazine design an alien Nakata del Gormo being Yoda's master, when mentioned, is treated as in-universe legend. So look at the date right there, 12th of April, 2013. This is after the Disney acquisition. It's interesting that he changed his tune there. Maybe because they thought that in Disney continuity, and yes, I believe they were planning to discard the EU as far back as a year before 425-14, maybe they thought they were going to use Yoda's species and Yoda's background and who his master was for something else. That's my guess as to why Chee changed his tune from 2006 when he was telling fans on the forum here that, yeah, it's continuity unless something else contradicts it. Pretty interesting turn of events. So you can interpret it any way that you want, but Nakata del Gormo may or may not be officially Yoda's master. If he is, it doesn't exactly line up the way that Chuck wrote the character blurb, because a lot of that stuff just doesn't make sense. Anyways, pretty interesting facts. If you look at a lot of these old publications, guys, you can find some fun stuff to research. This isn't a Star Wars theory channel. This is a Star Wars truth channel. See you next time.